I would like to first talk about what Codetrain is and introduce myself into detail. So I'm the CEO of Codetrain, and Codetrain is a school that offers specific training to people from diverse backgrounds to start, a career in the technology space. So we train software developers, and then we match them to companies. So the first question is, maybe Awa, you can start with that. How did you get into tech as a software developer?
Well, yeah, today is an exciting day, and I'm really glad to be here. I hope this session becomes fruitful. So, a little over 5 years ago, I read an article about two Nigerian kids that built a browser, right? And this article really inspired me because back then I was still looking into which career path to take, and 8 months after reading the article, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, learned all the programming languages that I could find. Well, not all, but most of the ones that I could find, read online and all that. But then after 8 months, I didn't have anything to show for it, so I thought this wasn't for me. And then I met Richard, and 5 years after that, I'm currently working with a Canadian company called Big Viking Games. It's a gaming company. So this is just a quick summary, but I hope while the conversation goes on, I'll get to talk more about it.
Okay, great. Abla, how did you get into tech?
Okay, I started getting interested in tech in the university. I studied computer science, and we were introduced to a few programming languages, and then they wanted us to make projects at the end of the day, but it was very impossible then. So I spoke to a friend, and she made me join a coding bootcamp, which was in Codetrain. So I joined it for about a year, and then after that, I started developing apps on my own, something that I thought was impossible. And now I work as a teaching fellow at Codetrain, which is very positive.
Thank you. And Nanajwa?
Hi, thank you, Richard, for the question. So I started my journey at JHS. Right from JHS, I wanted to be a nurse. But then after secondary school, I decided to do an IT program just to fill in time so that I can go back to my nursing career. And then I went to school. Then the things they were teaching me were more interesting, so I decided to just learn more into it. So after the nursing, the IT program at the school, I now realized that I have more interest in IT, so I went to the university. So going there, the things they were teaching me, at the end of the day, I was told to calculate the area of a rectangle, which I couldn't do. So I now got online, searched for schools, then I found Codetrain. Then I joined Codetrain. And right now I'm a software engineer at Codetrain and also a teaching fellow at Codetrain.
Okay, great. So any of you can take this question, but before that, please feel free to also join us as well in the conversation. If you have a question, just raise your hand and you join the panelists, right? Like you can ask the question and we are happy to answer. However, after the round of questions, we are going to also invite you to ask any questions that you have, and then we can discuss more. So I would like to know, what are the challenges that you faced when you decided to pursue a career in software?
Okay, so for me, it was mainly the major challenge I faced was figuring out what to learn, the path to take and where that path would lead me, right? Because I started out online, and there are so many articles and videos online telling you what to learn, which language to learn first, what to do next. And if you try reading all this and watching all these videos, in the end it might mess up your whole dream and confidence in becoming a software developer. So that was the biggest challenge for me. When I had my first mentor, which was Richard and one other Android developer, that was one of the best things that happened to me in my programming career, because with a mentor, they could help me figure out the things to learn in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve. Because when I started out, I wanted to become an Android developer, right? But I didn't know what to learn first and where that would lead me until I started getting mentorship. So I think, it's basically figuring out what to learn and where that will lead you.
Anybody else? Maybe, Comfort.
Okay, so one of the challenges I faced was getting the right thing to learn. Just like Awal said, there are so many things out there that if you go, everything you search, you get results. So getting the right thing to learn was a huge challenge for me as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to know how easy is it for someone from a non-tech background or from other backgrounds, people with no knowledge in tech, how much chance do they have in becoming successful software developers? Wow, you can take that.
Okay, all right. So just to clarify something. So my background is this, right? So right from high school, I went into sales. I don't have a computer science degree. I don't have a degree at all. So I went into sales and did a bit of sales, and then I jumped into programming. And when I started out, I had a lot of people telling me I needed to get a degree to be successful and all that, right? And just a couple of months ago, I started interviewing with companies in US, Canada, Germany. And funny enough, no one really cared about the background I have, whether I'm from sales, whether I have a degree, whether I finished high school. All they cared about was what I could do, the portfolio I have, the projects I've worked on, the skills I have, the experience I've had. That is what the companies cared about. And with this, it's very clear that irrespective of your background, if you have the interest and you want to pursue programming, the background doesn't really count. So far as you focus on learning what you have to learn and building a solid portfolio, you can end up working in almost any tech company out there. Yeah, so the background doesn't really matter here, so far as you focus on your dream of becoming a developer.
Great. And how is it like now that you are a software developer working for a Canadian company, and at the same time you have the opportunity to enjoy Ghana, stay in Ghana, eat banku. How is it? How do you feel about it?
Honestly, it's not how I imagined it to be. It's more than I imagined it to be, because you'll be being in Ghana and being paid as someone working in Canada. In the end, you get to have a better life. You can live the life you want to live. And also, one good thing is that working remotely, you have the flexibility of deciding what time to work. Well, this is based on the company, but you have the flexibility of deciding what time to focus and work and what time to have fun, right? So, for instance, currently in the morning, usually my mornings are free, so I use that to learn more and then improve on and become a better developer. But my afternoons, that's when I use them to work, for my current company. And sometimes I can move my schedule to late nights and then have the day to myself. So you have this flexibility so far as you get the work done, Yeah. So it's actually a very what's the word for it? Okay, let me just say it's an interesting experience.
Thank you so much. And one thing that in the last 4 years, my experience as the CEO of Codetrain We've trained over 500 software developers, and over 80% of them have started careers in tech successfully. And we've not had so many women join our training program. However, the few women that join are actually exceptional, and they do extremely well. And my question is, Abla and Comfort, what do you think we can do to encourage more ladies, to become software developers?
Okay, thank you so much, Richard, once again for the question. So the idea has always been that software engineering is for males. Like I remember one day a student saying that if you enter a class and you are, let's say you're a female and you enter a class and there are more boys than you, that means you are in the wrong course. That means you are supposed to do a course that are a lot of females inside. And that perception is actually not cool. Because nowadays, like, women are doing more, right? And the perception that software engineering is actually hard, it's not. It's actually not hard. It's just like learning any other programming language, any other course. In like English, anything. You just have to have the passion and the desire and just be determined. Like that, these three things, you could be anybody you want to be, especially in the soft tech world.
Great, thank you. And Abla?
Okay, so I would like to tell young women like me to not be scared. There's actually nothing to be afraid of. Let's say you see a lot of boys in computer science class. I'm actually the only girl in my class. And it's quite interesting because everybody assumes I'm the girl, so I don't know what I'm doing in the course. But at the end of the day, it's not true. I can also make applications, even more than they can. I'm not bragging, but that's the truth. So there's actually nothing to be afraid of. You don't need special powers or higher IQs to become a software developer. You just have to be curious. There is a lot to learn, but if you are curious and you're ready to learn, it's very possible as a female. So I'd like to encourage the young women to go for what they want.
Okay, so our final question before we start the Q&A from the audience. How, and I'm sure there are so many people out there who are aspiring to become software developers. And apart from mentoring that you mentioned earlier on, how do you think, what are the top 1 or 2 or 3 things that people learning to become software developers needs to do in order to secure a job position? I mean, with both, it can be either local or international companies or anything.
Okay, so just like I mentioned, a couple of minutes ago, what these companies look for is your portfolio, your experience, what you can do, right? So going through interview a couple of months ago, these companies usually, they so I'm just going to walk you through, how the interview goes. So they check your CV, obviously, to see the experience you have. They check your portfolio to see the projects you've worked on. They give you test projects to work on to confirm that you really know what you are doing, and then that's a summary, and then after I get an offer. So with this, it's one of the things that you need in order to even start going through this process is to become a developer, right? And to become a developer, you need some kind of interest in software development. And interest, just like anything, can be built, right? If you don't know what it is at all, you can start looking into it. 5 to 6 years ago, I didn't know what exactly software development was until I read that first article, and then I started getting interested in it. So once you have the interest, you can learn. Although you don't want me to mention mentorship, I think that's one of the most important things. You can get yourself a mentor or join a bootcamp like Codetrain, or just try and get that, and work on more projects, right? As a software developer, work on more projects. So we have the project, we have the mentorship, and so I don't know if so personally, I think one one other thing that you need to have to secure international and local job is being able to tell the truth and be humble when talking to these companies. That's not a tech skill, but it's a soft skill, and that's one thing that they look out for.
Okay, thank you so much. So having the right values
Yeah.
is one key thing, because people need to rely on you. You should be reliable, and also you should have projects to show. But you would need to, in the tech space, most of the hiring is usually by merit, 100%. And you would need to show what you can do in order to secure opportunities. All right, thank you so much. And now, I'm happy to take questions from the audience, so that we can just have a great conversation. So, any questions yet? Great.
Hello, I'm Mary. So I want to ask about imposter syndrome in the tech space. Sometimes you are interested in tech, let's say you just started, you are learning a programming language and trying to do some applications, but sometimes the requirements need to know JS, no Python. Like, how do you deal with it? Because sometimes these motivational guys, they say that just go for it, but sometimes it's really intimidating. So how do you deal with that? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Okay, so just to clarify, is that in relation to just going for projects or going for jobs? Jobs. Okay. So so one rule of thumb that I use and a lot of people use when going for jobs is that if you meet 100% of the requirements, then that's not a job for you, because you wouldn't grow in that role, right? So at least try and meet our 50%, and then that is when you grow in that role. So when you are going for jobs and they have all these requirements there, right, that they are just telling you that is what they use at their company, right? In software development, whenever you join a new company, they give you time to ramp up, to learn their stack, and then start doing what they are doing, right? So if you don't know any of those things, and you have experience being a software developer working on other projects, yeah, why not just go for it, right? Like, what's the worst thing that will happen? So yeah, so just go for it, because these companies, yeah, just today I had a call with our head of engineering, and he mentioned that they've been looking to fill an intermediate role for some time now, and they've not had anyone, right? So, and I'm sure this might sound the reasons why people are not applying. They might see the stack and they feel like, okay, I don't know this, so I'm not applying. But when I joined, actually they gave me time, and I'm still even learning some of the new things that they have here, the architecture, a whole lot of stuff, in order for me to be able to do what they do there. So every company gives you time to learn their stack and then do what they do. And in software development, once you have the basics, you can easily learn any other language, any other skill, any other stack. So yeah, don't let the requirements they have there intimidate you. Just go for it, right?
Yeah, so I usually I tell people that there is only two scenarios that can happen, but the most important thing is you should know that you have nothing to lose. If it works in your favor, great. You get to learn, you get to improve. If you are rejected, great, because you also get to learn, and you get to know what is out there, and you get to also prepare for the next. You'll be well prepared for the next opportunity. So you always stand to gain. The next person.
Hello, I'm your fault. You spoke on mentorship, and you didn't tell us how it came about with your mentorship. But then, how do the young ones get a mentor in terms of building their career in line with that? So that's the question. Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, so when I got when I got mentorship, right, I'll talk about how it happened, but I didn't even know that is what I needed, right? So there was this program offered by British Council. I applied and then I went for the interview, and during the interview, the interviewer realized that I was already learning more advanced stuff than what they were going to teach. So this interviewer recommended me to Sleep Job. That was Rich's former company. So that was when I met him, and after having a discussion, I told him that I wanted to become an Android developer. So he got me an Android developer, an experienced Android developer to guide me on the things to learn and help me when I get stuck, and basically, help me become an Android developer, right? And as at then, I didn't really know I didn't value the importance of that mentorship until a few years after. That's when I realized that just that experience I had, that person I had to guide me, that is what really helped me progress and go faster as a developer. So yeah, one thing I'm going to recommend you to do is to reach out to, if you know any developer that is advanced, that is already seasoned and working in any company, you can reach out to them, right? Let them know that you're also a developer and you want to get to their stage, right? So you would want to pick their mind once in a while on certain things, or you need their guidance on how to get there, right? I remember I reached out to developers at Google, and got my dream is to work at Google. And so I reached out to developers at Google about 2-3 years ago, and some of them responded. That was when I was doing Android development, and mainly because I wanted to take Google certification exams. So I reached out to them. Some of them responded, and yeah, I had a chat with some of them. I didn't know how to build networks back then, so it all died off. But yeah, if you reach out to people, it will shock you. People are willing to help, right? I've had a couple of people reach out to me to help them, to guide them, to mentor them, become better developers. And I'm currently like mentoring a couple of people. So people are willing to help. So you can reach out to any developer. If you don't know anyone, you can just go to LinkedIn, find someone that works at a company you want to work at, and then just send them a LinkedIn connection, add a message, let them know why you're connecting with them. And yeah, like 90% of the time, they'll accept your connection and then try and help you, get mentorship, right? Try and mentor you and help you become a better developer. There are also platforms like ADP List. So there's this site called ADP List where you can get free mentorship from seasoned developers and designers. I found it a couple of weeks ago. So where you can get like mentorship from seasoned developers and designers. So there are all these resources out there that you can tap into to get mentorship and become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, in terms of mentoring too, you can. There is a company called Mentor Color. You can search them on LinkedIn or anywhere, and they are a group of black engineers in Spotify, Apple, all over the world, and their aim is to support and mentor young African developers. So you can use that as well. But one thing about the importance of mentoring was, I remember when Awal reached out to me and we met, he thought that I was going to sit him down every day and teach him how to code. But it was rather the opposite. It was about him working on projects and me guiding him on what he's supposed to do. And also every mentor has limits. So having a mentor is great because you can leverage on the networks of the mentor. So I have most of my friends that were senior developers in other places. I was able to set up calls with him. Hey, you have challenges with this? Okay, talk to this guy for 10 minutes. And so because of that, he was able to learn very, 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 very fast. Personally, before I started Codetrain, I had so many young people like Awal and so many of them, and I was mentoring them and teaching them. And it got to a point I realized that this is something that really was working well, and the results was really, really great. Why don't I start something structured, like a program where create something like a machine, right? A machine that if the average person that is highly motivated, willing to work hard, and willing to be teachable and have good values passes through that machine, they automatically become, world class. They become world class software developers, and people that are ready to work. They have good values. They take feedback. They can do a lot of great things. So then I decided to start Codetrain, and so far it's been amazing. Now we have so many hundreds of people pass through the program, and one of the main aspects of the program is mentoring. So we train them, we mentor them, and we also guide them to enter into some of the software companies, both locally and globally, and we help them on the interviews. We deal with things like what Mary said, imposter syndrome a lot. However, with much guidance and knowing that there are people behind you, and there is always people that you can reach out to, they kind of feel confident, and it's really, really works very well. So that is a very, very important aspect of the whole way to get into tech. Two more questions, and then yeah.
Hi, I'm Robert. I have a question. So I get this question a lot from people that want to start software development as a career. So, and the question is math proficiency needed to be a good software engineer? And to my best knowledge, I always try to answer, but I'd like to know your view on that. Is math proficiency key for software development?
So who would want to take it? Yeah, you can take it.
Before I worked, before I started working with Big Viking Games, I worked with Codetrain for about 5 years, and I also got this question a lot, right? So it's a very common question. The truth is that, like, it's no, right? You don't have to be a maths guru to become a successful software developer. So when I was preparing for interviews, I had to do a lot of data structures and algorithms, and that is where I think a lot of people associate maths with software development, right? But really, it's not more of maths; it's just like logical reasoning, right? And that is what most of these algorithms out there are about. If it has to do with maths, I think it would be like maybe 2 to 3%. Most of them are just logical reasoning questions. And as a developer, that is what you do in your day-to-day life, right? You want to build an app for people to be able to move from one place to another without, let's say, walking to a bus station. There you go, you have Uber, right? So it's just building, using just logical reasoning to solve problems. And that is what software developers do mainly. Now, if you end up in a field where, which is very rare, but if you end up in a company where you have to build things relating to mathematics, then that is the job you are doing. That doesn't have anything to do with software development specifically, right? But when it comes to software development in general, it's just logical reasoning. Every single person has logical reasoning, right? You can reason, and once you have that skill, you can become a successful software developer.
Thank you very much, Awal. Please.
This question goes to our mentioned in the site, the ADP list.
ADP list. ADP list.
And Richard, you said to do black.
Mentor color. Yeah.
Not lady.
Yeah. And if you want to get connected to Mentor Color, you can message me on LinkedIn, Richard Bryant, and I'm happy to introduce you to them. I know the founders personally. One last question, and we can call it session. In the meantime, Abla and Comfort, do you have any experiences with mentoring and the importance of having a project experience, and you can also talk about the mathematics thing as well in your case.
So just like Awal said, you don't need any mathematics proficiency. I mean, I came from a background of little mathematics proficiency from high school, right? And my goal was to be a nurse. So you see, there's no connection with mathematics here, right? But when I got to school and I realized that, I'm getting more interest in software engineering, I realized that like there is little or no mathematics proficiency in there, right? So yeah,
Yeah, continue.
Okay, so you don't need mathematics proficiency in there. Just like I was said, it's only the data structures and algorithm part which mostly people associate it with mathematics proficiency. And about the mentoring, I had the opportunity to be mentored. Awal actually mentored me at some point, and it was great, right? There are a lot of things out there. When you go to Google and you search how to become a software engineer, everybody has an idea of what to learn and also how to become it. But the thing is, how do you get the right things to do, right, to get them to get it going? So the mentoring part aspect also works. Like Awa really helped on, okay, do this way, do this way, do it that way, and it's really helped, right? So yeah.
Yeah, so I think Awa was being very, very modest because he actually mentored Comfort and at also some points Abla, and they've now reached where they've gotten to. So there's a saying that when you make your environment better, you also become much better.
Yeah. And with the projects, like working on projects actually broadens your knowledge. Like if you see somebody's work that he has done, you think you can do it. Doing it more and more actually gives you more experience on it, because you find so many ways of doing the thing. And also one thing is, when you get to learn something, you have to also teach someone, because once you teach other people, then your knowledge broadens. Something that you find you do it, maybe always you go straight, you see that somebody will pass other place to get there. In that way, you get your knowledge and the person's knowledge, and you are good to go.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So I have this last question. Question is, how do you build your portfolio? Is it advisable using platforms like front-end mentor.io to build portfolio? Would you advise that?
Yeah, so personally, I haven't used front-end mentor.io, but I've seen a couple of people use it, and I think what they basically do is give you projects to work on, right? And yeah, that is what you need for a portfolio project, right? You need to show whoever is going through your portfolio or your resume that you are a developer and you can do the work. And to show them that you can work as a developer, you have to show them what you've done in the past, and that is where the portfolio comes in. So you could have a lot of mini projects to show them that you've worked on a lot of different things, or you can have 2 or 3 big projects, or even 1 big project. There are some companies that wouldn't even check your portfolio, right? They just check your resume, and then based on what you have there, they give you a project to work on to prove that you really know what you're about. And most of the companies I interviewed with use this approach. So they didn't really ask me for all the projects I've worked in the past. What they didn't ask me to show it to them, they just asked me, I told them about it. But to prove to them that I'm technically capable of doing the work of a developer, they gave me projects to work on. Sometimes they give you a week to work on this project, sometimes 3 days, 4 days to work on this project, and then submit it to them and explain to them the process you use, your thought process and all that. And that is how most companies determine whether you are a fit technically for their role or not. So even if you don't have a portfolio built and you have the experience, because honestly, not everyone has a portfolio, right? Some people work on proprietary software and they don't get to showcase their code, right? So these people if we are basing on just the portfolio, then how did they improve, or how did they move to a new role? So most of these companies are moving to the approach where they give you a project to work on, and then you explain to them your reasoning process.
And just to add to what Awal said, you don't have to wait to get a huge project before you decide to work on, right? You can start with a mini projects and work on them. Yeah.
Great. Any last question? Okay. Thank you so much. It's been a very interesting session. I mean, the conversation doesn't need to end here. You can always reach out to us. Our website is codetraingh.com, or you can just Google Codetrain Ghana. You'll find us. You can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Let's continue the conversation. And we are the Accra Guitar Center. You can always call and reach out to us. And I mean, we are happy to help you. Because our main goal is to help people start careers in tech. So thank you so much for coming. I think the main takeaways are that from our experience, you don't need certifications or degrees or anything in order to get to work with global software companies. You need to understand what you are doing. You need to genuinely be good at building projects. Skills matter, and there are so many opportunities locally and internationally where people can use their knowledge in software development to get a better life. And also from the conversation, I learned that ladies are doing really great in the field. The few ones that are in the field are doing very great. So imagine that if you have maybe 20 out of 24 ladies doing great, right? Imagine that we are able to inspire 2,000 ladies, right? Even if we have 1,000 of them do well, that is a really big impact. And the data shows that all the ladies that I've personally mentored or have passed through Codetrain, they've done exceptionally well. One key takeaway is having good values and being reliable. Proving yourself to be a reliable person is one key thing in becoming successful as a software developer. That is higher than knowing so many languages or be able to do so many things. But the little thing that you can do, make sure that you are reliable, and always make sure that you make things around you become better, and you also become better. Thank you very much, and we are always happy to talk even at the back if you're interested. And I would like to thank Awal so much, Abla, and Anadra for coming. Thank you so much again.